The child embodies our ultimate vision, that every Filipino learner will realize their full potential and ultimately reach their biggest dreams, no matter how high, no matter how hard, through quality education. And as our learners aim to soar, we must continue to elevate our goals. Rising, the kite is our emblem of aspiration to deliver the brand of quality in Philippine basic education. The quadrants of the soaring kite symbolize the key reform areas in forwarding this cause, as we embark on this aggressive reform to yield upskilled teachers, well-developed curriculum, improved learning environment, and responsive multi-stakeholder cooperation. Using the colors of our flag, the logo symbolizes our unity and serves as a reminder that it takes a nation to educate a child. Together, we as a nation will have to move forward and gain more momentum so that our vision of quality basic education for all shall take flight. Sama-sama sa pagsulong ng edukalidad.
Well, hello, Mrs. Morgan. Remember how hard it was to get your students' attention? Oh, Mr. Jeski, any explosive ideas? And you, Mr. Fisher, the world keeps turning, right? Okay, we're past all that, because now we have Microsoft Educator Center. Trainings, courses, webinars, programs, badges, points, certificates. Join now and get yourself ready for the new school year. Teach your best.
Nang sumiklab ang giyera sa Marawi, maraming buhay at kabuhayan ang nawala. Maraming kabahayan at paaralan ang napinsala. Sa kabila ng matinding suliranin, naging matagumpay ang DepEd na mabigyan ang mga mag-aaral ng pagkakataong ipagpatuloy ang edukasyon at muling bumangon sa sitwasyon. Habang naghihintay sa pagkumpuni at pagsasaayos ng mga paaralan, nagkaloob ang DepEd ng mga temporary learning shelters, remedial classes, learning kits, at feeding programs para sa mga displaced learners. Nabigla ang lahat sa pag-alboruto ng Bulkang Taal. Libo-libong pamilya, kabilang ang mga guro at mag-aaral, ang nawalan ng tirahan at mga ari-arian. Mabilis ang naging tugon ng DepEd upang makapagpatuloy sa pag-aaral ang mga apektadong mag-aaral. Sinikap ng mga guro na turuan ang mga mag-aaral na pansamantalang tumuloy sa evacuation center. Tumama sa bansa ang COVID-19 pandemic, dahilan upang maantala ang normal na daloy ng pamumuhay at trabaho sa lahat ng sektor, kabilang na ang kagawaran ng edukasyon. Nang ipatupad ang Luzon lockdown, inilunsad ang DepEd Commons upang tuloy ang pagkatuto ng mga learners habang nasa bahay. Sa kabila ng mabigat na hamon sa ilalim ng new normal, patuloy na nagpunyagi ang DepEd upang maghanap at maghatid ng mga alternatibong pamamaraan upang magpatuloy ang edukasyon sa pinakaligtas at pinakaangkop na paraan. Sa ilalim ng Learning Continuity Plan, layunin ng DepEd na magpatuloy ang edukasyon nang hindi nakokompromiso ang kapakanan at kalusugan ng mga guro at mag-aaral. Isusulong ng DepEd ang tatlong pangunahing layunin: angkop na proteksyon, kaugnay ng mga health standards at safety protocols para sa ligtas na school year, patuloy na edukasyon sa pamamagitan ng blended learning, distance learning at homeschooling na angkop sa kapasidad ng bawat mag-aaral, at mabisang aksyon sa pakikipagtulungan sa lokal na pamahalaan at mga partner organizations upang maihatid ang dekalidad na edukasyon para sa lahat. Bawat DepEd Division ay bumuo rin ng sarili nilang Learning Continuity Plan upang gabayan ang mga guro, mga magulang at mga mag-aaral sa bagong pamamaraan ng pag-aaral gamit ang online, modular at TV and radio-based instructions. Gamit ang iba't ibang learning modalities, nagdaos ng dry run ang mga paaralan sa iba't ibang bahagi ng bansa, katuwang ang mga local government units at mga education partners upang maging handa sa bagong sistema ng edukasyon. Isinagawa rin ang mga pagsasanay at oryentasyon sa mga magulang upang maging epektibong katuwang sa pag-aaral ng kanilang mga anak. Sa anumang hamon o sitwasyon, handa ang DepEd. Handang kumilos, handang tumugon, at handang magserbisyo.
Ang dami ng mga pagsusubok at challenges ang naharap at napagtagumpayan ng ating Department of Education. Tuwing may pagsusubok, priority palagi natin ang ating learners at ang ating mga teachers sa tulong ng parents at saka partners at ang buong bansa. Ngayon, sa hinaharap natin itong new normal na sinasabi nila, matatag ang ating kagawaran, matatag ang DepEd, dahil pinagtibay na tayo ng panahon, kayang-kaya natin ito sa tulong ninyo.
G'day everyone, I'm Mark. As a teacher and a former principal, I know that professional learning often comes at the end of a very long day. But there are exciting, less structured ways to be in the driver's seat of your own lifelong learning. A great place to start is by engaging with our Microsoft Innovative Educator, or MIE community. This global community is big, in fact it's enormous. Our MIEs love connecting. Monthly tweet meets are global gatherings of inspiring educators around big topics, and their Facebook group acts as a persistent home for discussions and shared activities. Another way teachers are learning within communities is through Microsoft Teams. Now, greater teacher collaboration improves teaching across schools, and Teams is the ultimate platform for a professional learning community. It's open-walled and socially embedded, so you can incorporate your OneNote Staff Notebook PLC and have access to all the goodness of video chat, phone, and collaboration tools. With Immersive Reader built in, it's inclusive and accessible on any device. Your learning community is just a click away. Last tip, our Microsoft Education Centre offers great ways to gain new skills with courses tailored uniquely to your needs. Make it a collaborative experience by picking a MEC course to do together with your peers. And as a bonus, you can practice collaborative learning by exploring a research paper, like the Class of 2030, and treat it just like a book club with your colleagues face-to-face or in Teams. The link to that research, it's in the description. Remember, learning is socially embedded. It's best done together for students and for teachers. Happy learning.
2020 brought new beginnings for the Department of Education. Ready to pivot towards attaining quality education, DepEd was hopeful of the challenges ahead of it. But as DepEd continued to work on its commitment, the world suddenly faced a steeper dilemma. Around the globe, countries like the Philippines had to shift their priorities to respond to a public health crisis brought by COVID-19. Schools had to be closed, activities had to be halted, graduation ceremonies had to be canceled, as people were urged to stay at home. A new normal dawned upon us. As soon as DepEd realized the impact of these disruptions in education, it began to proactively craft its learning continuity plan last April to ensure that learning opportunities will still be available. Consulting with partners and advisors through the Education Forum, as well as legislators, teachers, parents, learners, and the general public, DepEd made sure its LCP encompasses the concerns of the whole education sector in responding to the crisis. Its topmost priority being the protection of the health, safety, and well-being of learners, teachers, and personnel. To make informed decisions, DepEd first analyzed relevant data and epidemiological picture for the incoming school year. DepEd also issued guidelines on its required health standards to be adopted in all public and private schools and DepEd offices following DOH and IATF protocols. It covers 4 COVID-19 mitigation objectives, namely, to increase physical and mental resilience, reduce transmission, reduce contact, and reduce duration of infection. The LCP also outlined how learning continuity will be ensured. It streamlines the K-12 curriculum into the most essential learning competencies and allows the use of distance learning, homeschooling, and blended learning modalities. Since conducting face-to-face classes will be a risk in most areas, DepEd has anchored its delivery of education to modular, online, TV and radio, or a combination of all. Guided by teachers, modular learning will allow learners to use self-learning modules in a format applicable to learners' capacity. In online distance learning, teachers will facilitate and engage learners' participation through the internet, whether synchronous or asynchronous. TV and radio-based instructions, on the other hand, are converted lessons fit for the broadcast medium. The LCP assures that all our learners, including our SPED, ALS, Madrasa students, can still access education even within the confines of their homes, and ensures that their household capacity will not hinder their right to education. To make this possible, our joint Brigada Eskwela and Oplan Balik Eskwela is assisting the preparations for the rollout of the LCP. On May 8, the LCP was approved by the IATF. The President also gave it his full support and expressed his commitment to meeting the financial demands of its execution. The implementation of the LCP will not be easy. It is not a perfect plan, and complications can be expected along the way. But extraordinary times call for extraordinary and proactive measures, and the Department of Education is ready to address the challenges along the way with the help of our national and local government, partners, parents, and learners. As one nation, learning opportunities shall be available in this brave new world for our Filipino children.
When you need the focus to be on you and not whatever that guy's doing, open Teams.
Bilisan mo! Tutal na wasak na naman namin ang lahat ng ari-arian nyo!
Sa totoong buhay, totoo ang pinsala ng giyera. Mula noon hanggang ngayon. Para limitahan ang kalupitan ng giyera, nagkaisa ang mga bansa 70 taon na ang nakalipas upang itaguyod ang Geneva Conventions. Ang Geneva Conventions ay kinikilala ng buong mundo bilang bahagi ng international humanitarian law na nagtatakda ng mga patakaran ng giyera o the rules of war. Ayon dito, huwag gawing target ang mga sibilyan at kanilang mga ari-arian. Tratuhin sa makataong paraan ang mga nabilanggo at protektahan ng mga doktor, nurse at mga ospital para paglingkuran ang mga sugatan at may sakit saan man panig sila nagmula. Alamin ang Geneva Conventions. Bisitahin ang www.therulesofwar.org.
Hi guys, so I just came from a meeting and I was just told that I would be leading this fundraising concert for International Students Day. And I have to present the plan to the school board next week. Okay, I'm going to need some help. Let me create a team space and invite my dream team. Sia, she knows all about the budgeting and stuff. Ivan, he knows all the kids from the performing arts group. Aisha, she worked on getting sponsorship last year. And Sam, because he's so cute. Let me lay out all tasks in Planner and kick things off. So, I'm almost done with my event concept and inspiration board. I just need Ivan to do some final tweaks and plug in the repertoire. Budget from Sia? Check. Sponsorship plan? Check. Done! Whew! When you start using Microsoft Teams, teamwork really does become easier. So now I'm heading over to present the plan to the school board. Wish me luck!
De Luna,
Present!
Herrera,
Present!
Valera,
Present!
Handa ba tayo sa school year 2020?
Present!
Ngayong taon, ang edukasyon tuloy pa rin. Sa tulong ng DepEd, mga guro at mga magulang, ang handang isip, handa bukas. Tuloy-tuloy ang pag-aaral. May mga modules para sa iba't ibang antas. Sa government TV, maging sa radyo. Mahalagang ligtas ang ating mga estudyante at guro. Kaya kahit nasa bahay, tuloy ang edukasyon. Kung tulong-tulong, may paraan, may aralan.
Handang isip, handa bukas.
Bisitahin ang DepEd Philippines sa Facebook at ang deped.gov.ph.
If you spend more time tracking down files than actually working on them, open Teams.
Handa ka na bang magpabakuna? Narito ang mga paalala at hakbang na gagawin sa proseso ng pagbabakuna. Bago ang pagbabakuna, kinakailangan mo nang dumaan sa pre-vaccination screening. Kinakailangan kumuha muna ng medical clearance sa doktor ang mga kabilang sa special population tulad ng mga sumusunod. May autoimmune disease, may cancer, may HIV, sumasailalim sa transplant operation, kasalukuyang umiinom ng steroids, mga pasyenteng may taning na ang buhay dahil sa karamdaman o nakaratay na lang sa kama o bahay. Kapag ikaw ay nabigyan na ng medical clearance mula sa iyong doktor, narito ang mga dapat gawin bago ang araw ng iyong pagbabakuna. 1. Humingi ng schedule at lugar kung saan ka magpapabakuna sa iyong pinakamalapit na barangay health center. 2. Huwag kalimutan dali ng iyong government ID, proof of comorbidity o medical clearance, pati na ang face mask, face shield at hand sanitizer. Sa araw ng pagbabakuna, narito ang mga steps na dapat sundin. Step 1. Waiting area. Siguraduhin kayo ay pumunta sa tamang oras at petsa ng inyong schedule sa pagbabakuna. Hindi papayagan ang mga walk-in sa vaccination sites. Maupo sa bakanting upuan alinsunod sa tamang pagkakasunod na bilang. Hintayin na tawagin kayo para sa susunod na hakbang. Habang nag-aantay, sumunod sa minimum public health standards. Isuot ang face mask at face shield, sundin ang proper physical distancing at ugalihing maghugas at isanitize ang kamay. Step 2. Registration. Sundin ang mga patakaran ng inyong LGU o vaccination site sa pag-register at ipakita ang inyong government ID. Bibigyan kayo ng kopya ng informed consent form, health screening form at mga pamphlet tungkol sa bakuna na pwede ninyong basahin. Hintayin na matapos ang proseso ng registration bago pumunta sa susunod na hakbang. Step 3. Screening. Kayo ay isa sa ilalim sa health screening at tatanungin tungkol sa inyong kalusugan tulad ng history of COVID-19 exposure, history of vaccination, mga gamot na iniinom, kung may allergies at iba pa. Ito ay para makasiguro kung angkop para sa inyo ang magpabakuna sa kasalukuyan. Step 4. Health education. Makinig sa ibabahaging importanteng impormasyon tungkol sa pagbabakuna para sa COVID-19. Kung mayroon pa kayong ibang katanungan, sumangguni sa ating mga vaccination staff. Siguraduhin na pirmahan ang consent form na pumapayag kayong magpabakuna bago pumunta sa susunod na hakbang. Step 5. Vaccine administration. Ito ang panahon kung saan kayo ay babakunahan sa loob ng 1 o 2 minuto. Huwag kalimutan na kunin ang inyong vaccination card pagkatapos matanggap ang bakuna. Step 6. Observation. Alinsunod sa Department of Health, ang lahat na magpapabakuna ay kailangan manatili sa pasilidad ng 15 hanggang 30 minuto para obserbahan kung may hindi magandang nararamdaman. Ang ating medical staff ay nakatutok sa inyo para ma-monitor ang inyong kalusugan. Bibigyan kayo ng mga pangalan ng health facility o hotline kung saan pwedeng pumunta kung kinakailangan sumangguni dahil sa side effects ng bakuna. Pagkatapos ng pagbabakuna, huwag kalimutang gawin ang mga sumusunod. 1. Itanong ang mga nais mong malaman tungkol sa vaccine na binigay sa'yo. 2. Huwag kalimutan ang iyong vaccination card. 3. Alamin ang petsa ng second dose ng iyong pagbabakuna. 4. Kunin ang contact number o alamin kung sino ang dapat tawagan kung sakali mang ikaw ay nakadarama ng seryosong side effects. Narito rin ang ibang mga paalala na dapat tandaan. Siguraduhin bumalik sa schedule para sa pangalawang dose ng bakuna. Laging tatandaan na kahit nabakunahan ka na, ay huwag pa rin kalimutan sumunod sa minimum public health standards tulad ng pagsasanitize ng mga kamay, pagsusuot ng face mask at face shield, at pagdistansya sa iba ng 1 metro. Magmask, hugas, iwas, airflow. Ito ay para na rin sa ating proteksyon at sa proteksyon ng iba. Narito ang pagkakasunod-sunod ng mga eligible population na target mabakunahan. Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, bisitahin ang mga sumusunod na pages. Facebook, Official DOH Gov. Twitter, @DOHGovPH. Website, doh.gov.ph. Tara na sa Bida Vaccination!
Sino ba ang hindi naapektuhan? Sino ba ang hindi nag-alala? Sino ba ang hindi nalito? Lahat tayo ay naapektuhan. Lahat tayo ay nag-aalala. Lahat tayo ay nalito. Dahil binago ng pandemyang dulot ng COVID-19, ang paraan ng pamumuhay ng lahat ng mga Pilipino saan mang sektor ka nabibilang. Tumigil ang panandalian ang ating mga nakagawian. Tumigil ang lahat ng uri ng transaksyon. Tumigil ang lahat ng operasyon ng mga paaralan. Nakalilito. Nakakaba. Paano na ang kinabukasan ng mga kabataan? Paano na tayo sa hinaharap? Opisyal na nilulunsad ng Kagawaran ng Edukasyon sa pangunguna ng Office of the Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction ang DepEd Teaches, Ito ay isang online na programa na gagabay sa mga guro, tagapangasiwa, magulang at mag-aaral hinggil sa mga pagbabago sa batayang edukasyon ngayong new normal. Ang DepEd Teaches ay angkla sa sulong edukalidad na nakatuon sa apat na pangunahing pangangailangan ng mapunyaging reforma tungo sa makalidad na pagtuturo at pagkatuto. Una, pagre-review at pagsasapanahon ng kurikulum ng K-12. Ikalawa, pagpapaunlad ng kapaligiran pampagkatuto. Ikatlo, paglinang ng mga bagong kasanayan sa mga guro. At ang ikaapat, ang pakikipag-ugnay sa mga stakeholder para sa suporta at kolaborasyon. Sa pamamagitan ng virtual learning platform, ang DepEd Teaches ang magsisilbing bukas na komunidad ng pagsasanay na titipon sa mga guro, tagapamunong pang-edukasyon at sa sinumang may pagnanais sa pagtataguyod ng kalidad na edukasyon sa bansa at sa pagtagumpay ng bawat Filipinong mag-aaral. Ang mga opisyal, education specialist, learning content expert at outstanding teacher ng DepEd ang magiging tagapanayam na magbabahagi ng kanilang kaalaman at kasanayan sa kurikulum, pagtuturo at pagkatuto, pagtataya at lahat ng kaugnay na mahalaga sa proseso ng pagtuturo at pagkatuto sa new normal. Bilang mga frontliner ng classroom, inaasahang magiging aktibo ang mga guro sa programang ito. Ang mga tema at paksa ay angkop sa kanilang pangangailangan at konteksto sa pamamagitan ng accessible na platform, ang social media. Sumali na sa OUCI family sa DepEd Teaches kung sama-sama mapahuhusay pa ang mga guro, kung sama-sama higit na malilinang natin ang mga mag-aaral.
Challenges make life interesting. Overcoming them makes life meaningful. Welcome back for another engaging episode here in DepEd Teaches, where we offer interesting and meaningful professional development learning experience. A pleasant afternoon to all our viewers, and to you, Ma'am Ana, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sir July. We also acknowledge our viewers who are tuning in right now on our official social media accounts such as DepEd Philippines Facebook page, DepEd Tayo, and DepEd YouTube channel. If you haven't joined our growing community, the official Facebook page of DepEd Teaches, please like, follow, and share our page right after this episode.
Last week, we talked about the processes and importance of learning action cell. Today is the last entry for our theme, Teachers' Personal Growth and Professional Development, and we will learn about the impact of doing action research in the improvement of instructional delivery. Ma'am Ana, have you done an action research before? And if so, can you tell us your experience about it?
All right. So I think I had one before, Sir July. And if my memory serves me right, the topic was about the improvement of the writing skills of my third year high school students. And I did the collaborative writing workshop. So the common problem I noticed was that there seems to be a little improvement between their draft and revised version because I think they had limited understanding on how they can incorporate and make use of the different feedback they get both from their teacher and from their peers. So for me, overall, doing an action research, Sir July, well, it's a bit challenging, but at the same time, it was a rewarding experience because definitely my students have benefited from it. They develop better appreciation of the writing process. So I wonder, Sir July, why do you think we encourage teachers to do research? I mean, why can't they just focus on teaching? Why spend time doing a research?
Okay, that's a great question, Ma'am Ana. Basically, in general, Research is a way of building new knowledge and contributes understanding to existing phenomena and address problems and issues in education or in any other industries. Come to think of it, we have seen major transformations on how we teach and assess learning because of research. Before, we used to have traditional classroom teaching, but over the years, several studies have proven the value of learner-centered approach, like what we are considering now, the learning styles, multiple intelligences, differentiated instruction, and other innovation which are result of research. In other words, doing research marks progress to our profession. So obviously, research is a very important endeavor. The advancement that we see right now is due to the people who are committed to doing research. How about your thoughts on that, Ma'am Ana?
Well, I definitely agree with that, Sir July. Even in our curriculum, we teach our learners to develop their writing prowess in research, such as information gathering skills, analyzing, interpreting data, communicating results. So if we teach them research, we as teachers must be familiar with the process. We should have done it before, right?
Exactly, Ma'am Ana. We cannot teach something that we do not know. And it's kind ironic to teach research, but you yourself is not doing one. Hence, the Department of Education, through the Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001 or the RA 9155, it mandates all governance level of DepEd to undertake educational researches and studies that will serve as one of the bases for necessary reforms and policy development. And this will be the focus of our today's episode. We hope, our dear teachers, that you will be more inspired to get yourselves involved in doing an action research.
Sounds exciting, Sir July. You know, I remember my professor once said research is a way of life in education, in the academy. So doing an action research, well, we should not view it as like a dreadful task, but rather we must be optimistic about it because we know it's for the improvement of our craft and our art of teaching.
I couldn't agree more, Ma'am Ana. So before we dive into the exciting discussion of today's episode, we will have another sort of Jamboard activity. So just like what we had last time, we will play a rebus puzzle or picture riddles where you have to form meaningful words out of the picture that we will be presenting. All the answers are related to research in general. And we are giving 30 seconds for our viewers to guess the correct word and key in the answer in our comment section. So again, try to guess the word being depicted in the picture that we will be showing, then key in your answer in the comment section of our Facebook Live streaming page. All right, I hope everyone is ready now for our rebus activity, Ma'am Ana.
All right, so let's show now the first picture riddle or rebus activity. So the clue for this is that it pertains to an idea that we should not miss or overlook. If viewed as a trait, this is important in any job to avoid any mistakes or errors. What do you think is the correct answer? Please type in your answer now. All right, so let's reveal the answer. I hope you're able to figure out the first challenge. So the answer is detail. As a researcher, we must be detail-oriented to ensure we don't miss important details and can make connections between things that would otherwise appear unrelated. So being a detail-oriented person.
That was interesting, Ma'am Ana. I hope many of our viewers can also guess correctly our second rebus puzzle. So we can now show them our second item. Okay, so we will be giving clue. A clue here would be it involves thinking. So when doing a research, we actively exercise this part of our system. Successful research can be achieved if we put both our blank and heart into it. So what do you think is this? 30 seconds for you to key in now your answers. All right, we can now reveal the answer for our second item. So the correct time. So if you can see the letter M in letter D, right? So it's a mind. So research is about creation of new ideas, asking questions, and developing answers through serious and systematic thinking and thoughtful reflection, which involves in research.
All right, so that was a bit challenging. Okay, so I hope you're enjoying the activity. Let's continue. Let us show now the third question or the third item. So for this picture riddle, the clue is that research is useless if others won't benefit from it. So research aims to help other professionals in our community. What do you think is this picture riddle all about? Please type in your answer now. All right. So were you able to figure out the correct answer? So with letter S plus the animal that looks like a rabbit or a hare. So the correct answer is share. Sharing results with the people who are most affected by our research make us better researchers and ensures that our work can be used to improve their work as well.
Okay, moving on to our last rebus puzzle. So we can now show them our picture. Okay, so we have a clue here. Doing research is one way to advance our growth as teacher. And if you make a good research, it may lead to a more and better opportunities like scholarship, promotion, publication, and build wider network. Okay, so 30 seconds for you to key in your answers. All right, so let us reveal the answer there. I hope our viewers were able to get that item. So the answer there is career. If you see there, there's a car with an R at the rear or back part of the car. So again, the answer is career. So being a good researcher is definitely a plus point as educator. If you have done and published good research or researches, this can boost your career and help you establish your reputation in the field. Okay, so just a recap of our 4 rebus puzzles that we had. We had detail for being detail-oriented to the skill that we need to develop and practice doing research. We also had mind because in research, the thinking process is actively engaged. We need also to share our research results to help other teachers. And lastly, doing research is one step of advancing one's career. I hope you have learned and enjoyed our Simple Mind activity related to our today's episode. And at this point now, we will try already to meet our resource person.
Dr. Ruth Estacio finished her bachelor's degree in secondary education major in biology cum laude. She also received a scholarship grant in Netherlands, finishing Master of Science for the program Educational Science and Technology with specialization in educational management, evaluation, and assessment. And she completed her Doctor of Philosophy major in educational management in 2008. She handled different functions from being a head teacher 3 in 2007, principal 1 in 2008, education program supervisor 2 in 2009, and 3 years later, she got promoted and became the OIC-ASDS of DepEd Sarangani Division and DepEd Sultan Kudarat Division, and eventually a full-fledged ASDS of DepEd Sultan Kudarat Division.
Aside from her recognition as an outstanding education program supervisor in 2010, one of her accomplishments as OIC-SDS is the initiated integration of robotics in the curriculum through capacity building of teachers and students, provision of robotics materials from the SEF, and robotics games in the SDO of Sultan Kudarat and South Cotabato. Please welcome a QMS-driven leader who had led a successful journey of the two SDOs to their ISO 9001-2015 certifications, the OIC Schools Division Superintendent of the Schools Division of South Cotabato, DepEd Region 12, none other than Dr. Ruth L. Estacio.
Good day, Philippines, from the land of dreamweavers. This is OIC-SDS Ruth Estacio from DepEd Region 12, SOC Sargent, with our Regional Director, Carlito D. Rocafort, Director 3. Welcome to the 24th episode of DepEd Teaches on Action Research Practices in the New Normal, Improving Instructional Delivery in Distance Learning through Action Research. Let us first discuss the basic concept of what research is all about. This is anchored on DepEd Order number 43, series of 2015. Research, as we all know, is a systematic process of collecting and analyzing data for some purpose. And what about action research? It is a process of systematic inquiry to improve educational practices to resolve problems in the classrooms or in the schools. And what about culture of research? It refers to a cultivated behavior on gathering empirical data and evidence in aid of policy formulation that is propagated in our department. And how about education research? It is the scientific field of study that examines education and learning processes and the human attributes and interactions in the organization and institution that shape the educational outcome. Now, let's talk about other definitions of other authors on action research. Some authors said It is also a process of systematic inquiry to find effective solutions to a practical and take note localized problem. So it's not research on people, but research by, with, of, and for the people. Now, let's look at the difference between basic research and the school-based action research. We have some criteria to find the difference. First is the objectives, the training, the selection of the problem, the hypothesis, and in terms of review of literature. Now, let's look at first the basic research. Basic research compared to action research is it develops and tests educational theory and derive generalization. On the other hand, the action research finds solutions to problems in a specific context. About the training, for basic research, there is really an intensive training. So that's needed for the research methodology. But for the action research, well, we just need limited training. For the problem, basic research has a wide range of methods in order to select the problem. While in action research, a participating teacher identifies the problems, yes, in the school, perhaps maybe during the teaching learning processes. While the hypothesis of a basic research is highly specific and developed. While in action research, the specific statement of the problem serves as the hypothesis. The review of literature, in basic research, it's very exhaustive and thorough, and a lot of literature is required. Unlike in the action research, there is no such thorough review of literature that is needed. Now, let's look at in terms of the sample. For basic research, it's considerably large. We need a considerably large sample. While in the action research, you can use already the students studying in the class of a teacher that can already form a sample. For the experimental design, we need a well-thought experimental design. Unlike in the action research, procedure are just planned in general terms only. In the analysis of data, for basic research, there's always a complex analysis that is being called for. While in the action research, it's just, it's just simple analysis procedure. They are already usually sufficient. For the conclusions of basic researches may be in the form of generalizations and developing theories. While in the action research, it's really findings are already considered as local specific. And this can already be a conclusion in action research. For the application of result, for basic research, the generalizations have broad applicability, while in the action research, findings are used immediately in the classroom situations by participating teachers to improve their own practices. What are now the features of the school-based action research? Even in this time of the new normal, we still encourage our teachers to do action research because we want them to help and find out these issues and problems in a school setting so that they can help in the delivery of distance learning and to improve it, to make it better. According to Carr and Chemis, action research bring about improvement of practice. It also bring about improvement of the understanding of practice and the improvement of the situation in which the practice takes place. So there are three. Action research is about improvement of practice, improvement of the understanding of practice, and the improvement of the situation in which the practice takes place. Now, let's take, for instance, a school-based action research. It says, emphasizing individual nature of action research, according to Jack and Whitehead, it puts forward a simple representation of how the process feels. So this is now the process of a school-based action research. So it is something when you say like, I experienced a problem in my school when some of my educational values are negated in my practice. So that's the feeling, that's the process that you first experience. So it's always like that. When you are doing research, you always look at the problem that you want to solve. So there's always a situation or an alarming scenario that you would like to deal with or find solution with. And so that's the first level. And then when you already identified the problem is you imagine a solution to that problem. So again, I repeat, I experience the problem, then I imagine a solution to my problem, and then I act in the direction of the solution. Again, problem, solution, acting in that direction to solve the problem, and then finally find solution. And then later on, I will evaluate the outcomes of my actions. Then, I will modify my problems, my ideas and actions in the light of my evaluation. So that is the representation of how the process feels in making school-based action research. You have the problem, you try to find solution to that problem, and then you act in that direction of the solution, you evaluate the outcome of your actions, and later on you will modify if it really solved that particular problem. How do we start a school-based action research? That is always the questions of our teachers on how to do school-based action research. Barrett and Whitehead ask 6 questions which should help you start your own inquiry or how you can make your own school-based action research. So you may ask these questions to be able to start. What is your concern? Why are you concerned? What do you think you could do about it? What kind of evidence could you do? Could you collect to help you make some judgment about what is happening? How could you collect such evidence? Finally, last is, how would you check that your judgment about what has happened is reasonable, fair, and accurate? So we need to follow this model on school-based action research strategic action. This is given to us by McNiff using the model as proposed by Kemes and McTaggart. Now, what are the starting points that we need to follow in order to start an action research? So for instance, you want to get better at your science teaching in the new normal. So resolve problem is factors affecting pupils' academic performance in Science 5, basis for remedial intervention program in the new normal. That could already be your action research title. And perhaps the outcome is the improved practice by means of using computer-aided instruction in improving pupils' academic performance in Science 5 in the new normal. Another example is, you're not sure why your students don't engage in discussion during online classes. It is a common problem now of our teachers who are into online distance learning. And so, resolved problem is cultural diversity and student engagement in learning activities in online distance learning as a basis in designing differentiated instruction and curriculum contextualization, I should say. So the improved practice is effectiveness of multiple intelligences in developing students' engagement in class discussion in the new normal. Another is, perhaps you may want to transform your school to have a 21st century classrooms in the new normal, but you don't know what to do best, or you're not sure of the way on how to do it. And so your resolved problem is assessment of learning environment in your school as a basis of an implementation plan in transforming 21st century classroom in the new normal. And it might be that the improved practice is that the effectiveness of a project that you're going to propose in developing 21st century classroom in your school. There are key steps in action research. We have the preliminary phase, the action phase, and the evaluation phase. Preliminary, the rudiments that I have mentioned earlier, the action, the solutions that you are proposing, then you do it, and then finally you evaluate if those actions really solve a particular issue or problem in your school. And what are the key steps in action research in the preliminary phase? You need to ask this question: what is the situation at present? What is the chaotic or problematic issue in your school or in your particular class? So you have to ask that. What is the situation at present? Then you need to do is to gather information about the current state of things. You also name, enumerate, list those issues and problems. And you uncover the nature and context of these issues and problem. Then you ask, again, this is important, you need to ask this: what changes can I try out? Come up with intervention and strategies likely to address the issues or solve that particular problem. I'm sure your principal will thank you for that. But the interventions and strategies should really be put into action. As what I have said earlier, in the paradigm or in the model, in the middle of the paradigm is really an action. So you must propose strategies and intervention. Then you monitor and collect the evidence of change in the environment. Was there really a change? Was there really an improvement? If reading is the problem in your school, if you have grade 7 students who cannot read up to this time, they're already in high school, then what strategies, what intervention can you propose? Then later on, you evaluate, does it help the student improve their reading or comprehension skills? So are your actions presented, is it relevant? Does it solve the problem? It's really important that you ask questions when we do action researches. Another step in the preliminary phase now is you ask this question: did the interventions or the strategies work? Then you have to describe what happened. Then you try to explain why or why not. Then you generate recommendations. I'm going to give you some topical topics that you can use in your action research that you might propose. For instance, literacy development in the modular distance learning. You know, it's really a challenge now. We cannot have a face-to-face interaction with our learners, and we do not know if our parents are really doing the right job in developing literacy among our learners. And so this can be a very good topic, and maybe perhaps you can propose an action on how to improve it. So that's a good topic: literacy development in the modular distance learning. And also, if there is a modular distance learning, there can also be an online distance learning. How's the literacy development in the online distance learning? Then maybe we can compare both, or we can see which one is better or has a good result. Then also, let's take it all. Literacy development, not only in the modular distance learning or online distance learning, also in the RBI or the TVI, the radio-based instruction and the TV-based instruction. Then finally, you can also compare perhaps, or you might also want to explore literacy development using the blended approach. So it's like, I'm using the module, I'm using a modular distance learning, but I coupled it with the radio-based instruction. While I'll read the module, I study the module, I also listen to the explanation of the teachers using my radio, or I can use the TV lessons I can find in IBC 13 or in the local TV that the division office or your schools was able to have a partnership with. And so that's literacy in the blended approach. So isn't that exciting topics to explore and use as your topic for the school-based action research? Then maybe we can be able to find out which among the modalities are effective in building literacy among our pupils. Now, and you cannot only stop in literacy. You can also have numeracy development, right? Literacy, numeracy, and things like that. If you are into numeracy or literacy, it's up to you. Whatever you find significant, relevant, important, and where your interest is. Because if you are the researcher, it's important what are your interests so that you can really finish what you have started. Then you can also explore bullying, cyberbullying, because we are too much into online studies now. We are into Google Classroom. We are into Schoology. We do a lot of online things. Even we follow up our learners to the Facebook group, the messenger chat, the text blast. So maybe you can talk about preventing bullying or cyberbullying. Then, how's the involvement of our parents? Does it also help in enhancement of learning? Does it improve learning outcome? You can explore all of that. And what about the integration of ICT in the new normal? Take a look at the Google Classroom, the Schoology, the Moodle, the Edmodo, and all other online learning management systems that we have in our schools. Special education, why not take a look about it? How are they improving now while we are in the new normal? I think it would be very difficult. It would be very difficult for our learners with special educational needs. And what about the culture-based education? Is it still addressed in the new normal? There are a lot of topics that you can think about. What is important is you find that chaotic situation, you find that issue in your school or in your classroom, then put your heart and your interest in it, and then go with it. Make it as a school-based action research. I know you can help not only your school, but what will benefit really are the learners in the end. And you can also try to think about changes in classroom practices in the new normal, or effects of these different teaching strategies and pedagogies that we are using. Or maybe you can teach new process to students. Think about that. And how do students make comprehension and understanding now? Are we giving them the opportunity also to think in the higher order thinking skills, or what we call the HATS? Or are they now in the lower order thinking skills? So, do we improve their HATS in the new normal? Remember Krathwohl and Bloom's taxonomy of learning. So if we just allow them to remember, understand, comprehend, so those are lower order thinking skills. We have to make sure that they also create, synthesize, apply, and analyze. Those are the higher order thinking skills. Or are all these things still happening in the new normal? So we can explore about that in your school-based action research. So the question is, how do we do it? How can we be sure that they are learning in the way we want them to learn? Is it in the higher level, or do we just content ourselves to be in the lower order thinking skills? I think that's a very good school-based action research that we have to explore and think about. You may also want to look into the professional relationships with colleagues and students. How are we treating each other now that we are in a COVID scare situation and we are not allowed already to eat together, have communal eating, and we need to distance from each other? I think that would be a very exciting school-based action research. And perhaps you might want to engage into the improve teachers' ability to be analytical and reflective about their practices and skills. I think we have evolved and improved now because we need to be responsive to the call of times. They say if we will not keep pace with the changing world, then we will become irrelevant. And so let's take a look at how teachers manage to teach now in times of pandemic. We also want teachers to be agents of change. And so we want to look into that. What have they done so far so that education really must continue? Another is the question, what makes a good action research? So let's remember that an ideal research proposal should be, number one, simple but elegant, concise and straightforward, systematic and well thought of, and describes the what, the why, who, when, and how of the undertaking of the research. The context, of course, the context must look into the prevailing situation. What is the specific issue of the problem that needs intervention? And is there a clear course of action proposed? So those are the context of a good action research. Again, look into the prevailing action or the prevailing situation. Then what is the specific issue or a problem that needs intervention? And is there a clear purpose of action proposed? For the research questions, are the research questions formulated clearly? Are the variables of interest also stated? And do the research questions encapsulate the action research undertaking? So those are the research questions that you need to think about when you want your action research to be really worthwhile and relevant. Who are the research participants? Are there relevant descriptions for the participants? And what is the sampling scheme that you are going to use? And for your data gathering, what is the nature of the data to be collected? What data gathering method should be used? Do you want to use pre-test, post-test, survey, interview, observation, document review, or analysis? Again, your action research is a good action research if it is relevant, practical, and systematic. I repeat, it should be relevant, practical, and systematic. There are some things that I want you to ponder about when we do action research in the new normal. You have to encourage yourself. You have to be empowered yourself, and you really need to evaluate if what you have done has really helped the school. You must have that love for teaching, that love for learning, and the ownership of that particular school-based action research, because in the end, you will become an agent of change. I just hope that when you do action research, your research project will not just gather dust in the desk or in the drawers of your tables, but it should really be used, and it could aid in the policy decisions of your principal in the schools, in the district, or perhaps, who knows, maybe even in the division. So when you think about school-based action research, always think, what can you help in the school? How can you contribute, solve a particular issue or problem? And the bottom line really is, can it help the learner, or can it benefit the children? So you always evaluate what's the result of your action research when you have done already the action. So there's a learning opportunity, and there's also a culture of research happening in your school if you do that. So you can start it, or maybe you can do school-based action research with your peers and with your colleagues. And maybe most of you, if not all, will be doing already action researches in your school. And you will actually be building a culture of research already in your school. And there's a thinking individuals in your school, and eventually the research level of your co-teachers will also be leveled up, just like yours. And you're not the one only doing action research, but most of you. And so, no issue will be left out. No problem will not be taken care of. And what's the point of doing that? It's very simple. Finding solution to a problem that is in your context, that is in your school or in your districts. Now, I would like to share some research initiative conducted in the Schools Division of South Cotabato. We have also leveled up in the way we do things. We do research in the Schools Division of South Cotabato. Before, they have to hand us out a hard copy, but now we are hampered by limited face-to-face situation, health protocols, and the stringent new normal situation. And so, what our research coordinator, we have Sir Chris Frusa in the Division of South Cotabato, our chief, Ma'am Maru, we have this development of online research portal. And so every teachers are encouraged to make their action researches. We can check those researches prior to the implementation. They just have to hand in to us through online, and the research team will have to check that. And so we have this data, action research uploaded by district. So we can see how many action researches were submitted by district. For example, Tebuli East, we have 23 researches. Tupi, we have 22 researches, and you can see already the graph there. And these are the screenshots of the action researches of the manuscript. So can you imagine? There are more than 100 school-based action researches submitted, and there are hundreds of issues found in your school that has already been addressed because of these teachers who are doing action research. And I believe that they really help improve instruction delivery in the new normal. And so we really encourage teachers to do action research. As we all know, action research has points in promotion, in reclassifications. If you want master teacher, then you can do action research. But we don't put that in their mind. We encourage them to do action research because it can help solve a particular problem and benefit the learners. Well, it's a byproduct of doing research. When we do ranking in promotions, when you subject yourself to promotions via reclassification or natural vacancy promotion, then you can use the action research that you have done as an additional points for you when we do the ranking. So parang it's just a byproduct of what you have done, but the bottom line really is to help solve a particular problem. And so we have conducted the 7th Division Research Congress. We have oral presentations. We have also poster presentations. And thank you for the Basic Education Research Fund given to us by the central office. We have actually used that in the past years. So in the past years, we have these researches funded by the central office through the BERF. And we encourage more teachers to do that. And there were a lot of teachers doing it. As a manifestation is the increase of the number of researches submitted in the division office and eventually to the regional office for the BERF. Through the years, we have been very thankful for the grant of BERF in our division. These are some of the action researches that have been funded by the Basic Education Research Funds at 30,000 each. We have also the utilization of these action researches conducted in the new normal. Samples of these researches are the online survey to assess the PSDS and cluster heads' competence in supervising new normal of learning delivery in schools. We have also conducted research like online survey questionnaire for school heads' competencies in relevant 21st century literacies responsive to the global crisis. And we have also the analysis of teachers' readiness for distance education in the schools division of South Cotabato. And another research on the learning delivery modalities under the new normal education, the academic performance of Generation Z learners across senior high school in South Cotabato. These are the well thought of researches of our teachers in the new normal. And the bottom line again is to improve delivery of instruction. We have also researches submitted in the international level wherein some of our colleagues had participated. So if you can see, we have some means of verifications here, some pictures in the attendance to the international researches. And the question is why we do this in the schools division of South Cotabato. Not only in schools division of South Cotabato, but in the entire region. And I know in the whole country, because eventually we want the child at the heart of DepEd Region 12 and in the country. This is our quest to win the future by improving education through the institutionalization of culture of school-based action research. Not only in our schools, but also in the district, and yes, in the entire region or in the whole country. This has been Ruth Estacio, OIC-SDS of South Cotabato. This is the voice of DepEd Surgeon saying, para sa patuloy na pagsulong ng dekalidad na edukasyon. Dapat kasali lahat, kasama lahat, para sa lahat.
So thank you so much, Dr. Ruth Estacio, for that highly engaging presentation. This is very timely because this is our first year of doing various learning delivery modalities, and we can improve this through evidence-based practice, none other than through action research. And we hope our teachers will be motivated now to do action research. All right, so just keep on sharing your insights here in DepEd Teaches comment section, and more so, you can post on your social media accounts like your Facebook personal page and Twitter account. Don't forget to use the hashtag I support DepEd Teaches, and hashtag DepEd Teaches episode 24.
Okay, so few reminders. Today is the last episode under the theme Teachers, Personal Growth, and Professional Development. For you to receive certificates of appearance and participation, you must pass the evaluation. On the screen, you see the link. It is open until Saturday midnight. So if you missed some of the highlights in episodes 23 to 24, you can watch these episodes again on our official Facebook page, the DepEd Teaches. Remember, you can only answer the evaluation once, so we hope you will take it seriously so you can receive your certificates. Once again, thank you so much for tuning and being here with us today. We hope to see you again next week for a new theme only here on DepEd Teaches.
On behalf of the curriculum and instruction strand, let's have an open mind in embracing the culture of research, both for the improvement of our learners, our practices, and of our career. Just like here in DepEd Teaches, our mission is empowering teachers, enabling learners. Thank you for tuning in, and a blessed afternoon, everyone.